Yo, 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 y'all hear me out there loud and clear? What's up, fight fans? We are back at it with another edition here at Round One Sports TV. I am always your host, Edwin, and where do all fights start?
Round one.
Let's go. We got an amazing show for you here today. I don't know what I put up here. I forgot. I got to get my phone. See if that'll lock in there. So, fight fans, we got a lot to talk about here today. We're going to be talking about Naoya Inoue and what this means for him with this MJ fight. And why isn't it in BoxRec if this fight has been scheduled since Roman Cardin when they came to agreement, allegedly? What's going on here? So we're going to break down all that and more about one of the greatest fighters we have in today's era. And so lock in. We got a lot to talk about. And let's get right into this episode. Uh yeah, we definitely got a lot to talk about with this whole situation. And hold up, let me switch this because I like to have my little steak boxing beef on. I just got this new one. This is a new one actually. If you haven't noticed, it has the glass tint around it. That's pretty cool right there. They gave me a whole bunch of stuff, but I haven't really had the time to put all the things I want on it. But I'm going to work on that. So, fight fans, thank you for locking in, tuning in on this July 4th weekend right now. With July 3rd. This is a very touching day for me right now. I decided to get on and talk because it's uh it's a tough day for me. Today's the day my little brother died, July 3rd. I'm wearing his shirt. That's my little brother. The date that he died, it says July 4th up here, I think somewhere, because tonight somewhere headed towards midnight as the day plays out. Uh at the end of this day, my brother loses his life. Yeah. So July 4th is a tough day for me, you know. Uh so just thinking about my brother, and I was on the Boxing Voice yesterday, and unfortunate uh one of our brothers from the TVB community tragically took his life. Uh and you really don't know what you got until it's gone, you know? You could argue with your brother, fight with him, and not until he's gone that shit don't feel right. And you realize your arguments were petty. I would rather have you here. So it's just tough. So but uh I decided to come on today. I worked out today. I worked out like a maniac today too. I just have a lot on my mind, and I try to I try to challenge my channel my aggression. I don't want to uh lash out to anybody, misguided anger, you know? Like my wife will come home or my neighbor or something, and I don't want to take out what's going on with me because they don't know what's going on with me. So I got to put on a mask and smile, and and just deal with it like an adult. Deal with it like an adult. So I decided to come on today and just talk with you guys the only way I know how, and talk about the one thing that me and my brothers and my family love: boxing. You know, and my brother Ito was a boxer too. He has his shares of golden gloves, and he's entered a lot of tournaments, my little brother. Uh, and he was raised by my dad, and yeah, I miss him. So, but for you, Ito, we're going to talk about the thing we always loved, and that's boxing. And today we have, you know, uh, one of the boxers that I don't feel like a lot of channels are talking about because they're lower weight divisions. But I love these guys, man. They're lightning in a bottle. And I think that the lower weight divisions is some of the most skilled weight divisions in all of boxing. Not a lot of power down there. Not until Naoya Inoue arrived on the scene. He's different. He's different. And when I can identify with men like that, I consider myself to be slightly different. So when I see another guy that excels even greater than me or anything else, I can recognize that. It's just like that. I talked about it like that older gentleman. He's like 70 in the gym. This dude got abs. He's ripped, and I'm just like looking at him. I'm like, man, I hope I look like that when I'm 70, right? Because you meet people throughout your travels that you know exceptional humans. Guys that can do things. What sets you apart from another human is to be unique. What you can do, no one else can do, or there's like a 1% of people that can do an exercise or something you can do. And that's what separates you. So in boxing, what separates you from other boxers is what you can achieve. And in today's day and era where they're trying to sell you the gimmick that belts don't matter, no, belts are everything. They are everything. And if you want to go to the Hall of Fame with 2 divisions and 2 belts or so many title defenses, if you can get in with that, well, then shall be it. But you will not be considered one of the best accomplished boxers. By opinion, people can argue you were better than this guy or you didn't fight him. And, there are a lot of, we're starting to realize in boxing that not every boxer has a glamorous career or opponents on their resume. Because in reality, in every weight division, there are only probably like 2 or 3 top guys in every weight division. You don't have 10 elite fighters in every weight division. Just like Naoya Inoue, as you can see with your own 2 eyes, if you kick in the front door of a new weight division and walk in there and quickly fight the best they have to offer, as soon as you beat the best, who else are you going to fight? Now they're criticizing Naoya Inoue for fighting fighters such as Roman Cardine, Yi Young Kim, TJ Doheny, Luis Pantera Nari. What the hell are you guys talking about? He kicked open the front door and fought the best, undefeated, unified world champion on day 1, Stephen Kubo Fulton. Then he went after the second unified champion to become undisputed. That's what he did. He wiped out the division. There's just no one there. All of a sudden, the world, Ed Hearn, not the world, Ed Hearn, started his little campaign about Naoya Inoue ducking MJ. Now, have you ever been scammed before in your life? Have you ever tried someone to con you out of something? What is a con? What is a scam? Someone making false accusations or trying to portray the allure that this is better. He's scamming you. And Ed Hearn is a promoter. Promoters will say anything to try to get their fighter the fight. By saying that Naoya Inoue was ducking MJ, that is comical. That is comical. brother MJ, you oppose no threat to Naoya Inoue. And I mean zero. Okay? First of all, your record, MJ's record is he had a quick start in that weight division because there was opportunity. He got 2 belts with like under 10 fights. He had 2 belts, right? So that's impressive for MJ. That I have to admit, that is pretty good, right? He wasn't able to hold his belt. And the man that beat him for his 2 titles got obliterated by Naoya Inoue. I'm not sure if Marlon Tapales won any round in that fight, right? In fact, the only 2 rounds Naoya Inoue I feel has lost are the 2 rounds that he got dropped in the fight. Other than that, he didn't lose a single other round in those fights against Luis Pantera Nari and against Roman Cardenas. He didn't lose another second from the moment he got dropped. Got up off his feet and dominated. Straight dominated. Right? Meanwhile, MJ's over here fighting his fights. Guy ranked number 88. Guy ranked number 56 in the world. He's not beating guys in the top 10. No. And somehow Ed Hearn wants you to believe that Naoya Inoue is avoiding him and his style of fighting. What does MJ do so impressively that you're saying to yourself, wow, this is going to be a great fight? The only reason why people think that the common folk only think that this is going to be a great fight because of all the noise Ed Hearn and MJ and this persona that Naoya Inoue is avoiding you. Avoiding you. There were a lot greater fighters, Chocolatito, all those dudes in the lower weight divisions that saw the storm that was Naoya Inoue, and they said, hell no. I don't want none of that. I'm good. These dudes opted out to fight other opponents by saying Naoya Inoue at that time only had like 7 professional fights. He was truly dominating the sport in his respectable weight division. When we talk about all the men and women that fight one another, truly you can only be judged for the men that are in your weight division. I don't want to hear that Naoya Inoue isn't any good unless he fights Gervonta Tank Davis. That's bullshit. Because if you say that, I don't want to hear Gervonta Davis is any good unless he fights Terrence Crawford. Same shit. Don't do that. Naoya Inoue is responsible for his weight division. That's it. And if it was so easy, why hasn't anybody else mirrored what Naoya Inoue is about to do? Remarkably, this September 14th date, where the showdown in Japan versus Naoya Inoue and MJ, right, is supposed to go down, right? That card that I guess Turkey is putting together, Turkey's continuing to do one thing, right? He did it in the Roman Cardenas fight against Naoya Inoue, and the one thing that he's doing, he's scheduling fights before their fight concludes. Before Naoya Inoue and Roman Cardenas got into the ring in Las Vegas, which I was in attendance, I was there live for that fight, right? And the rumors were circling through the hallways that the MJ fight was already signed. By the time they got in the ring, Turkey Al-Sheikh has already signed William Cepeda to his next fight, and he hasn't even fought Shakur Stevenson yet. William Cepeda is supposed to be fighting Andy Cruz, right? There are a lot of fights. Listen, Bam Bam Rodriguez hasn't even fought Kofu yet, and he's scheduled to be on the Naoya Inoue undercard. Bam Bam's supposed to be fighting Kinshiro. That's supposed to be his opponent for September 14th. How many times does Turkey Al-Sheikh do this? Then I sat back and I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, oh shit. Turkey's a fucking genius. You mean to tell me that Roman Cardenas was notified that Naoya Inoue's fight was already scheduled with MJ before he even got in the ring? You know what that does to a person? Makes you think that they're overlooking you. It's going to make Roman Cardenas fight that much harder to prove you're betting on the wrong guy. Kofu is going to fight Bam Bam, and he's been told that Bam Bam's next fight has already been scheduled. And Kofu's going to go in there and say, yo, you guys are already overlooking me. Hamza Shariz is supposed to be fighting Saul Canelo Alvarez already. He hasn't even got in the ring with Edgar Berlanga yet. And the rumors are Saul's next fight, Saul hasn't even got past Terrence Crawford. How the hell you know that he's going to have those belts to fight Hamza? But you guys got to know something. This is weird, right? It's weird that Turkey's doing this. But it's also something we asked for. The one thing about boxing is we don't have a schedule. We don't have, when they announce these fights, typically some of us in the YouTube community have a lot of connections with promoters, fighters, managers, and etc. So we use that to try to get insight to report to you guys for potential future fights. That's how we're informed. The norm, we don't know about the fight until they announce it. That was the normal way, right? So what Turkey is doing, he's giving you a look into the future of the possibilities of fights that can be in the schedule already in the future to allow, advise the boxing community we have fights coming. We have fights coming. So in that regard, I can see what Turkey's doing. And it also adds pressures to the guy that they're not talking about. Like the Roman Cardenases of the world, like the Kufus, like the Andy Cruzes. Andy Cruz is scheduled to fight William Zepeda. He ain't even fought Shakur yet. So, in a way, I see what Turkey's doing. It's not the normal thing to do. It throws things. This is like a curveball in the sport where that you're announcing fights with guys haven't even freaking for God's sake, even finished their fight. But it provides you with an insight of what kind of fights Turkey's trying to put together. In the beginning, I had a lot of pushback with Turkey. I did. And it's not because he made Naoya Inoue an ambassador or anything, right? Because you didn't win me over because of that. That's your personal business. I follow Naoya Inoue because of his skills. So what he does in his business, that's him. That's on you. So just because Naoya Inoue signed with Turkey or whatever, that didn't make me a Turkey fan. Hell no. I'm a Naoya Inoue fan. You see what I'm saying? So I like what Turkey's doing, you know, with these fights and everything. And I just got to get used to change. Change is something that I don't want to be stubborn. I always used to goof on those old guys that says, I don't watch the sport no more. It's not like it used to be in my day. In my day, we'd rip your hair off, your head off, or rip your right arm off and take it to the bench with us. You know, those kind of days. Those kind of guys that talk, that say that these guys can't play in our era, vice versa type thing. And I don't want to be them. I want to grow and evolve with the sport. If change is going to happen, I'm not going to fight the change so much because I don't want it. I don't want to be that guy that's stuck in the past. Change is good. Sometimes change is good. Look, they changed the 3-point line in the NBA, pushed it back, made it a little bit more difficult, added that 3 second violation in the middle. It keeps the guys moving. You know what I'm saying? They've added other elements to the NFL to make the NFL more interesting because they realized those kind of quarterbacks are not a dime a dozen. You know, you might got guys that can throw a football 50, 60 yards, but is he accurate with the ball? Can he hit his target? So that eliminates a big portion. Then if he can hit his target, can he do it in game situations? Now it even gets smaller, the window. So they realized they had to protect the quarterbacks because the quarterbacks in the NFL are the franchise. That is your franchise. You got to build around them. And if you keep don't make rules to protect them, the life expectancy of a quarterback in the NFL is 4 years. Back then. Now you could be Tom Brady and be 20 years, but Tom Brady, that's not a good example because Tom Brady came up in the gladiator era too. You got to remember, Tom Brady was still playing football with Brett Favre. Brett Favre kicked Tom Brady's ass in a game one day. That's how far back Tom Brady been playing. So, mind you, when Brett Favre and all them dudes was rocking, they was effing up them quarterbacks, right? Tom Brady was in that era. He played just through all the era. Like, he's a real dog. Real dog, Tom Brady, bro. Oh, my God. They don't give him enough credit, even though he's that great, you know? People just, I don't know, man. But, and when we're thinking about these situations playing out in boxing with Turk and everything and the belts that he wants to bring in, I'm not sure. I mean, Naoya, in a way, for right now, he is wearing that Ringside magazine. He's rocking the shit out of that thing, right? You notice ever since he signed with Turkey, right? That Ringside magazine's been very present and everywhere. Matter of fact, that's the one that he wears across his chest now. He holds all the alphabet belts in his hands. And the one that he got across his chest now is that ring. When have you ever seen that from Naoya Inoue when he was coming up? He never proudly rocked that Ringside. That Ringside magazine belt is present everywhere. Everywhere. It represents Turkey, what he's trying to do. And I told you this. I said that when Turkey Al-Sheikh first came into boxing, the mistake he made, he tried to buy the promoters first. I think what I would have did, I would have tried to buy all 4 belts, the sanctioning bodies. I don't think they would have sold. I don't think they want to sell. Sometimes you can make an offer they can't refuse. And if you're giving these fighters all this kind of money, like, I don't think that the WBO is worth billions. Nah. I don't think that the IBF or the WBA is worth billions. There's a number. There's a price there. So he couldn't buy them. So what he did is he did the next best thing. He bought a belt. He bought the Ringside magazine because it came with a belt. Now that was a smart move. That was a smart move. Although the Ringside magazine, you don't pay sanctioning fees to it. It's one of the belts that you can get that you don't pay sanctioning fees. But Unfortunately, it's not one of the major sanctioning bodies. They don't say when they announce you in the ring, they don't say Naoya Inoue, 5-time belt holding world champion. No, they don't say that. They say Naoya Inoue undisputed. He has all 4 major sanctioning bodies. They don't say all 5. You know what I'm saying? They don't do that. They After they announce the Alphabet Boys, which are all the belts, then they'll say he's either the ringside or the literal champion. And by doing so, it means that that belt, they're trying to promote it as like the best fighting the best, the ring. So they got a good little thing going here with the ring. And then you got the other belt that's laying in the wings trying to get in, the IBO. The IBO. Naoya Inoue has never owned the IBO, right? Uh he doesn't fight for secondary belts, minor belts. Naoya Inoue doesn't fight for that. Uh the only way you can criticize Naoya Inoue is because of this stupid thing that the WBA is doing. Their belt is really going down in value. It's not holding its weight anymore like it once did. And that is a damn shame. That's a damn shame. Being the fact that the WBA, that one, is the original belt in all of boxing. That's the first, well, not the first. It was like, they were like these other belts, like the NAB something, um, or like a boxing champ, but the WBA officially became like the world champion title, right? Then off of the WBA spun the WBC. And the WBC changed the game. The WBC is the franchise that took it global. That's why they have all the flags all around. The WBA was like, you got to come to America to fight our champions. That's it. But the WBC, they took it a step further. They changed the game. Panama, Peru, Europe, Russia, they all became players because of the WBC. Now, the WBC lost their mind. With that much power, I think they got drunk in power. And they started doing a lot of crazy tournaments and saying, yeah, you can fight for our title. And the other guys are like, yeah, but we were here first. And yeah, you don't got a big following or whatever. People don't know you. We didn't have social media back then, but we did have TV. So, and the Ringside magazine, the Bible that would print out all the things, and we were informed like that. So the WBC up and lost their mind. So people left the office. They branched out. They wanted to do their own thing. So then came the IBF, which their headquarters is in New Jersey, right? And the IBF started being what the WBA and the WBC should have been. They should have been catering to both sides of the street, meaning the A side and the B side. Now, I said all of that to say this. None of these sanctioning bodies are innocent. None of these sanctioning bodies, they've all had their criticism and, IBF, they were brought to court for taking bribes. Those manila envelopes with a stack of money in it. Yeah. And there's been a lot of things, but there's a lot of corruption. It's a lot of hand-to-hand. It's a cash business at times. It's easy to launder money, wash some money, make some bets. Boxing was the Wild Wild West back then. Then from the IBF, Puerto Rico made their belt. Puerto Rico was always in the mix. As far as Latin fighters, Mexico, Puerto Rico, top Latin fighting countries at the top. Mexico had a belt, the WBC. Puerto Rico said we got a belt. Then the US got a belt, the IBF. And then Panama has their belt, the WBA. Right? Okay. Not until Bernard Hopkins and Oscar De La Hoya entered that ring in Las Vegas that they fought for the unification in the 2000s for all the belts, that the world and the organization accepted the WBO finally as a real world title. All the way up until that point, no champion that's ever held the WBO has gotten credit for a real world champion. Meaning, Marvelous Hagler didn't get credit for that WBO as a champion. No, he didn't. In fact, they told him if he fought for that WBO on that night, that they were going to strip him of the WBA and the WBC because they didn't want their belt in the same ring with the WBO. You can't allow that to happen. You can't, the WBC cannot allow the fucking Russian champion to come in with his Russian belt and say, I'm the world champion. No. You can't bring that into this ring. If you want to bring your Russian, then go back to Russia, get in your Russian ring, and you can do it there. You can do whatever you want over there. But here, the reason why we pay sanctioning fees, the 3%, to these major titles, organizations, first of all, right? Boxing is not like other sports where you have extensive contracts and you play for a certain team. Boxing is an individual sport, and you can fight your contracts fight by fight contract basis, or you can sign a 3-fight deal, only a 2-fight deal, etc. When you step into their ring, you didn't build that ring. Just because any place in the world can order a ring, build it, and set it up in any bar or hotel lobby and schedule a match, that ring is not the same as a world boxing organization ring. No, it's not. I dare you. Try to go make your own ring and come up with your own belt and call yourself world champion. See how that works out for you. See if the world embraces you as the best. I'll be right here. The only thing that you can be considered the best is when you have one of those alphabet boys, one of these belts, right? You pay the 3% to it. They provide the world stage. They provide the cameras and the event that you're competing for their trophy. The trophy that they've built over decades of great fighters. What makes these belts so valuable are the men and women that held it. You mean to tell me I can wear the same belt Floyd Mayweather wore? Ali? Huh? Felix Trinidad? Huh? Oscar De La Hoya, Julio Cesar Chavez, Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvelous Hagler, Roberto Duran. What? Tank? Whatever your favorite fighter is. You mean to tell me I can compete for the same belt those guys have? I don't want to fight for your Russian belt, your North Pacific, Antarctica belt. No, I want to fight for the WBC. I want the belt Mike Tyson had. That's what makes those belts valuable. And that's why you pay 3% on it. 3% to the organization of the men and women that do the paperwork to schedule your events in your ranking. What do you think? All these people are going to work for free? The organizations have to have the belt, right? They don't make money on anything else. You're not, you don't sign a contract with the organization, so they don't get a cut like that if it was that way. Or the promoters, they got to get their money somehow to keep the belts going and to pay their staff. That's where the 3% comes from. Because all the belts get is that three. They don't get pay-per-view money, the belts. They don't get anything else. So it is the one sport where you pay in to be a champion. And there's a reason for that. See, all these other organizations and managers, like in football and everything, they got the money. Shit, they got a stadium. They own the stadium, the vending machine, all the popcorn, everything sold there. That's their kind of 3%. When you come to pay, but when you come to boxing, that the venue is from the promoter. They don't make the belts don't make $1 off the popcorn sales or anything else. Where do you think their money comes from? The 3%, bro. To keep the belts alive. If not, you want the belts to fully fund themselves. Let's say you didn't pay 3%. Where the hell would the belts get the money from? They're not entitled. Let's say you're not paying 3%. That never existed. So you just want an organization, make the schedule, make the belts, right? Because those belts cost money, because every time you got to buy a new one from the manufacturer, right? And where would they get their money? They're not going to get it from the promoter. They're not going to get it from the venue, and they're not getting it from the fighter. How the hell would these organizations survive? They survive because they're a business. They're a business. Unfortunately, shit rolled downhill. And when they started making up the rules, at first they were like, well, the promoter got to pay the 3%, right? The promoter was like, fuck that. The fighter's going to pay the 3%. And it came down on us. But fair exchange for the kind of recognition them world titles are going to give me. Bro, I'm going to make a restaurant. You know what I'm going to call it, right? Champs. Right? When I walk down the street, what do they call me? Champ. All right? I like that. 3% for that. 3% for the record books to show my name forever. Not a bad change. Not bad, bro. Not bad. Not bad at all. You know, and I feel that sometimes athletes can be real divas. They'll complain about everything. They don't know the ins and outs about everything. You've heard Errol like, where the fuck are these 3%? Or Anthony, what's his name? He talks about it all the time. The commentator there, fucking Ward, Ward. He's like, oh, we paid 3% for these belts. Where this money going? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm looking at Ward, right? And I'm saying to myself, wow, you haven't figured this out, huh? Like, he's a very intelligent guy when it comes to boxing and stuff. But business wise, I'm not sure if he's business savvy. I mean, you can, anyway, I can look at some things and just be like, okay, and understand the business part of it, you know, the money thing, you know. And I see what's going on. And I don't got a problem with it. I don't got a problem with it. I believe 3% is fair. And they made all these interim belts in order to collect. It's a fucking business. Business disguised as a sport. I always tell you guys this. That's what the hell boxing is. It really is. It really is. Yeah. So Naoya Inoue got this fight with MJ, and ironically, I go to box rec and shit, and this fight had to be a scheduled since the Roman Cardenas fight, and it's not in boxing rec. And I'm sitting back and I'm scratching my head and I'm saying, well, Turkey's making an undercard for the fight for September 14th. He's got a bunch of fighters that haven't even fought their next opponent yet. So the card is subject to change. It's not like a card that's locked in that I'm like, okay, these guys, because Junto, uh, Junto Nakatani is supposed to be fighting on that September 14th undercard for Naoya Inoue. You know who Junto Nakatoni's opponent is? Romar Cardenas, the guy that just dropped Naoya Inoue. So Naoya Inoue is supposed to be fighting on that card September 14th. This is what the card's supposed to look like, right? It's supposed to be Naoya Inoue versus MJ. The co-main event is supposed to be Junto Nakatoni versus Roman Cardenas. It's going to be Junto is going to be entering the 122. That's going to be his debut for the 122, and he's going to officially be in Naoya Inoue's weight category at 122, September 14th. Okay? That's the plan. On the bottom of the that, the co-main event is supposed to be Bam Bam Rodriguez. He's supposed to be on there. Bam Bam Rodriguez is fighting Kenshiro. So Naoya Inoue, Junto, Bam Bam Rodriguez. Just those three fights, I'm like, sign me up, right? Then you got Tenshi versus Nasukawa. I hope I said their names right. I've been trying to practice on the names. Tenshi Nasukawa. I'm sorry, did I say first? That's the same guy. He's supposed to be fighting Jose Reyes. Jose Reyes. Tenshi Nasukawa is supposed to be fighting Jose Reyes on that card. So those four fights right there, fucking, that card is bomb, bro. I got Naoya Inoue, Junto, and Bam Rodriguez on the same freaking card. Are you out of your mind? I'm like, damn, that card looks fire. That is that's fire. And to have Roman Cardenas be a part of it as well, he really made himself on that fight with Naoya Inoue. I became a fan of Roman Cardenas that night. The way he fought with that warrior spirit, that freaking don't overlook me mentality, that I am here and my name is Roman Cardenas, baby. That close, bro. That fucking close from pulling it off. But it just speaks to Naoya Inoue's greatness. He got up and was like, you had your shot. You should have finished me. Took over the fight. And another great thing about Naoya Inoue, let me catch up to you guys in some of your chats. I'll be going, what's up, Carlos? How you doing? Thank you, brother. Yes, yep. Yeah, yeah. I thought some praise are with you, man. I lost my daughter 3 years ago. Yeah, tough. It's just tough times, and we're left here, with the memories. You know, we are left here. We are left here with the memories, and you know, it's just tough, and I got to do this with a smile. And I got to be strong for my family. You know what I'm saying? I got to be strong for my family. One thing I never let my wife do is see me cry. I don't allow her to see me cry. And I don't mean that to be a tough guy, right? And let me explain. Let me explain, right? Meaning if I was opening up to my wife at a situation about my brother, my father, I have cried to her. Yes. Yes, I have. I'm not that tough. Okay. And in situations like that, I've shed a tear with my wife. She's seen me cry in those kind of situations. But in a hostile situation, or if there was problems, you know what I'm saying? Like if we were stranded on the highway or on a boat. Like one time I heard my wife get asked a question. I forget where we were. And they asked her, if you were on the Titanic with Edwin and you guys were like in the ballroom or something, and Edwin and you split up and he went to go talk to somebody else. And at that moment, the boat hit the iceberg. Bam. They said to my wife, what would you do? And if you and your husband were split up, I think they were talking about like couples, like, you know, by themselves, what they would do. And I was like ear hustling, like hearing what my wife's answer was going to be. And my wife said, as soon as that boat hit that iceberg and everybody starts running around, panicking, running to the things, she said, the first thing I would do is grab a chair. She said, grab a chair. And she said, yeah. And I will sit in it. She said, why? She said, because I know Edwin's coming for me. And I don't want to be running around and missing him. If the last place Edwin saw me was in the ballroom, you better believe he's going to move everything and everyone to get to me. And as soon as he gets to me, he's going to figure out how to get on a life. I guarantee it. And I was hearing her talk. And I was like, damn right, baby. Damn right. I it was like she believes in me so much. Now, if I ran to her and I was crying, that's when she would look at me and say, we're fucked. Because if you're crying, Edwin, then we're screwed. That's how she would view me. She was like, that's why I can't let her see me, because in high risk situations, I won't allow her to see fear. I have to be able to jump up and perform as a man. You know what I mean? And that's what women expect from us, you know? But and then they say we ain't shit. You know what I mean? But I heard her more that day than ever, because that's the kind of confidence she has in me. 15 years we've been together. 15 years I've handled all situations. I've had to, and I've never let her see me be worried, stranded on the side of the road in the middle of fucking desert with two flat tires. I'm gonna get us out of this. I'm gonna get us out of. I'm gonna find a way, And she just like leads. But when she sees the fear on my face, as a man, that it's she's gonna freak out. I need her to chill. I gotta think in these kind of situations. I gotta make my way through. So the pressures of being a man is hard. It's tough. It's tough in this world. You can't show too much emotion and stuff, and you just gotta pick and choose your moments. Other men in this world would smell just a little bit of weakness, they'll attack. So it's just tough. It's tough. It's tough for all of us, and especially when we have loved ones and they're looking at you to be the strong one in the funeral, in these moments, and you want to fucking yell and scream and let it all out, but you can't. Not right there. You got to be strong for everybody else. Later, you got to break down in some room by yourself. It's I've done that. I've done that. I knew everybody else was falling apart. I couldn't. I didn't have the luxury to do that. I had to be strong for us. So as a man, sometimes we got to take these roles on. We don't ask for them, but as you go through life, you realize what your position is in the house is. Me and my girl, we 50-50 all the way until I have to step up, you know? And then it's kind of like I my authority already exceeds yours. I got it from here. Follow me. Like that type shit. Until moments like that, me and her were 50-50 on everything. Her opinion counts. What she has to say to me counts. My girl has told me sometimes, yo, Ed, cut it. And respect, I don't have to be a tough guy to my wife. I don't want her to fear me. You know what I mean? Nah, and that's how I see it. And yeah, but when it's time for the man to, all right, baby, let me take it from here. She knows. She knows. I'm gonna take it from there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I would too. I would too. My wife would see me cry. She see me cry for my father, for my mom, for my brother. Yeah, that's sentimental. That's when your wife needs to help you through your emotional. That's the only time I feel like it's acceptable to cry in front of your family, because we can't be tough guys all the time. You know what I mean? We got to feel something, and you have to have love. It's going to affect you as an individual. There is no shame in that. What I would think would be weird that you didn't cry when your loved one passed away like that. Not unless you weren't that close, but that's acceptable. But, let's say an intruder came into your house and you, your wife, and your daughter are in a closet, and all of a sudden you start crying. And your wife looks at you like, why the fuck are you crying? Like, save us. There's a guy in our house. Get out the closet and go do something. If he gets by you, what's our line of defense? You are our line of defense. In those situations, Rambo time. You know what I'm saying? I gotta snap into action. Win, lose, or draw, lose my life, whatever, bro. If there's an intruder in my house and I get my kids, my wife to safety, and I tell her, stay here. Like, I don't want to lure her into the closet and be like, yo, stay here. I think I'm gonna. Yo, she's not gonna have confidence in me. That's what I'm talking about. That's when I won't let her see that I'm scared. I can be scared. I could be nervous. I know there's somebody in my house. He could kill me, man. I could lose this battle in my house. And what's stopping him from heading to the closet for my wife and daughter? I'm the only line of defense, right? I'm scared as fuck too, right? But I can't let her see that. I gotta let her know everything's gonna be all right. Everything's gonna be all right. I'll see you again. Stay here. I got this. You know? That's when I don't need her to see me nervous or cry. That's what I'm talking about. Anything else from that, family issues, loved ones, if I shit, my wife should fucking hold me or consult me when I'm grieving, and letting it all come out. She's my best friend. You know what I mean? So in that aspect, there's nothing wrong with that. That's just you being a man. Being a man. You know what I mean? But in high risk situations, that's what I'm talking about. I can't let her see me cry, man. I can't let her see me scared, because it's gonna make her feel scared, and she's not gonna have confidence in me. You know what I mean? So that's when I don't. In high risk situations, when I need to jump into action, and it's happened more than once in the 15 years we've been together. uh, uh, it's happened more times than I wanna care to admit. We've been in some pretty tight situations, man, where that I had to, like, do some shit, man. I'll share with you one moment. Our car broke down. Our car broke down, and because of a flat tire, and we were in a different city. We were traveling. I think we were coming back home, and the tire popped. Now, about 2 months prior to that, we had a flat tire, but we had a spare in the trunk. Well, I used that spare and I put the flat in the trunk. So at this moment, when we got the flat and I went to the trunk, our spare was already flat because I never fixed it. And I was like, damn, bro. So we're in the middle of a city. I really didn't know where the fuck we were on the planet, right? But we like drove the car going like this until we got off the off ramp, right? And she's looking at me. We ain't got no AAA. We ain't got none of that shit, right? And she's looking at me and she's like, "What are we gonna do?" And she's looking at my face, right? I gotta jump up and spring into action. You know what I mean? So I did what I had to do. I did what I had to do, man. I said to her, "Listen, I'm gonna walk into town. I let me walk into town. Stay in the car, lock the doors, put on the hazards. Here's the keys. If anybody comes up, fuck it, turn the car on with that tire popped, just fucking drive like that. Take off." I said, "But I'm gonna go into town. I'm gonna get us a tire." She said, "How the hell are you gonna get us a tire at like fucking 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning?" It wasn't daytime. We were at the peak hours of the night, right? So everything was closed. There was nobody walking around in the streets, right? So everything was closed, and I walked by a car dealership. A car dealership. It was like a used car dealership. And bro, lo and behold, the same car we were driving was parked right there on the dealership. You guys know what I did? Yeah, I did it. I did it. Yes, I did. I smashed the window, popped the trunk, got the jack out the car, jacked up the car right there in the dealership, and took the front tire off the car. Yeah, I did. Yes, I did. And I fucking rolled the tire back with me to the car. Left that shit on a jack. Yeah, I did that because I had to get save I had to get home, and she looked at me like, "Do something," like, right? Uh, and that's the pressures of a man, the pressure we have on us, you know, to do shit when your family is on the line. You know what I mean? The safety of your family. You'll do whatever it takes. That's that's how I see it, man. I think back now, like, I'm sorry, car dealership. If I could, I'll send them some money. If I knew where it was, I'll pay for that tire, man. Now, uh, because I also don't want to hurt anybody or do anything crazy, but that's just a situation that I can remember off top that, the pressures of being a man and doing things for your family. So yeah, man, it's just a lot of pressure, but Today is it's just one of those days for me that my feelings are all everywhere, and I can't I can't stop but to think about my little brother and stuff today. You know, those days come around, and it's just tough being a man. You know, but life has to go on. Ito, man, if you're hearing me, brother, keep the door open for me when I come. You know, I'll see you again one day. I'll see you again one day. It's just not going to be today. I have a lot of living to do for me, for you, you know. So I'm not going to see you today, hopefully, little brother, but I'll see you one day. But the one thing I could promise my brother is that I will live for him. I will live on in your memory. Some people say they'll die for what they believe, or they'll die for their wife, or they'll die for their kids. I'm going to choose to live for mine. And that's how I see it. I hope you guys had an amazing show with me today. Uh, I had a great workout this morning. And thank you for listening to me. Thank you guys. Thank you for being my ear right now. Thank you. I needed to get this all out so that I could have fun with my wife and kids later. Fireworks and stuff. And, you know, we as husbands can't allow them to see things affecting us. Gotta be strong. Gotta put on that smile. Everything's all right. It's all good, baby. Let's have fun. And as men, we gotta like suppress all this shit down sometimes. We ain't got nobody to talk to, you know? So once again, I'll put on the mask. I'll show the smile. Nothing's wrong with me. You know? That's how we gotta do, bro. It is what it is, man. But I'm glad that I was able to get some things off my chest. I'm glad I'm able to talk about it so that I don't, when she comes home and we go out later to go see the fireworks, that I can be myself around her and she doesn't see any worry or anything in my head and shit like that, man. In order to have my daughter to have a great time, I don't want her to see her dad sad, on a day that she's supposed to be having fun. I can be sad later by myself, type shit. I live and I think for them. So fight fans, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for hearing me. Please have a great 4th of July, guys. Um, and enjoy your weekend. I hope you guys eat as many hot dogs, hamburgers, but you come back tomorrow to work out. All right. So we're going to work those hamburgers, hot dogs out. All right, guys. So listen, fight fans, thank you for everything. Um, Thank you for everything you guys said in the chat. Thank you for tuning in with me right now. And please have a blessed day. All right. I'm gonna end this live stream. Uh, because I don't want to talk so much about this like that. I already got a shirt on, so I know he's here, you know. So uh just keep it moving. You know what I'm saying, guys? So far, fans, thank you for tuning in, locking in. Love you guys. Yes, thank you. I always try to be me, man. All right. So I'm on to the next one after this one here at Round One Sports.